Hey everyone, this is Paul here with MemberPress, and in today's video we're going to cover how to install and set up the Authorized.net payment gateway with MemberPress. So the Authorized.net gateway is included with our MemberPress Pro package currently. So if you're not using the Pro package, you will want to go ahead and upgrade to get access to Authorized.net. And then as far as the Authorized.net side goes, if you plan on doing recurring billing with MemberPress, so like a monthly membership that's automated, you will want to sign up for their automated recurring billing or ARB service in order to handle recurring billing. Once that's all in place, then the next thing you'll do is you'll go to the MemberPress options page and come here to the Payments tab. And you're going to click this plus arrow to add a new payment method, and I'm going to choose Authorized.net, and I'm going to give it a name. We'll say pay with credit card. This name is what the user will see when they pay. So for example, if you had Authorized.net and PayPal both configured, or in my case I've got an offline payment gateway and Authorized.net, the user will see this as their options to pay, so they can choose pay by check or they can choose pay with credit card in this case. So we've set that up. Next we need to go to Authorized.net and get our login name and our transaction key and our signature key. We can actually leave the username blank here. We're not going to worry about this here. That's well, we won't cover that in this video here. Our documentation will have a little more information about that if you want to look it up. And where I'm using a sandbox account, I'm going to go ahead and check this box, but if you're using a live Authorized.net account, you will want to leave this unchecked. But where mine is a sandbox account, I'm going to go ahead and check that box. And everything else we can leave how it is. You can read up about these other settings again on our documentation page. I'm actually going to leave the catch-up payment off, because I do not want users to be billed for past payment if they have a failed payment or something. So I'm going to leave that off. Again, you can read up more about this in our documentation. Now, the next thing we're going to do, we need to go get our login name. So let's go to Authorized.net. We're going to click on Account here. And what we want to do is click on API Credentials and Keys. And we've got our API login ID, so we want to copy this. And we're going to go ahead and paste that here in the first box, And we want to get a new transaction key, so I'm going to say click this box here that says new transaction key. And we can disable the old transaction key immediately. If you've got other integrations using Authorized.net, you probably do not want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just answer this secret question here and go ahead and click submit. And now I can copy this transaction key to my clipboard, and we're going to paste that into the MemberPress settings. And next we're going to generate a signature key. So we're going to go ahead and click continue. And we want to go back to that API credentials and keys section here. And we're going to go ahead and click new signature key this time, this one over here. And again, we're going to have to answer a secret question. And you do have the option again to disable an old key or not. I'm going to go ahead and not disable my old one. Go ahead and click submit. And this time we're going to copy to clipboard. Now for some reason Authorized.net puts this extra space, this extra new line up here at the top. We do not need that, so I'm actually going to copy just from the starting of the key to the end of the key here. I'm going to copy that, and we'll go ahead and paste that as a plain text. That will get rid of any extra spaces or anything. Some browsers do not support this. I'm in Google Chrome, and so I'm going to paste it as a plain text. If your browser doesn't support this feature, just go ahead and do the regular paste. So now I've got my signature key in. I'm not going to worry about this username field. And the last thing I need to do is copy this webhook URL. So I'm going to click this little clipboard thing here. That's going to copy this URL. And we're going to click continue. And we need to come down here to the very bottom there's this section called webhooks. We're going to click on that, and I've got a couple other testing webhooks up in here, but we're going to go ahead and say add endpoint, and the name, we're going to call this test webhook. You're going to call yours maybe MemberPress webhook. In fact, maybe I'll name it that, MemberPress webhook. And we'll go ahead and paste in our webhook here. And if you ever delete this gateway and recreate it, you will get a new webhook URL because this ID here will change. And you'll notice the ID is in the URL here. So if you ever delete your authorized.net gateway and need to recreate it, which we don't recommend, but if there's ever a case that needs to happen, you will want to come in here and update that webhook so that the ID is matches your new gateway's ID. And we're going to say status active, and we'll go ahead and just say all events. MemberPress doesn't listen for every single event, but we found it's best just to go ahead and click all events and save. Okay, and now we've got our MemberPress webhook set up, and we should start receiving the data that we need. The webhook is mostly used to tell MemberPress if recurring billing payments are successful, or if they failed, or if they've been refunded here through the authorized.net control panel. And so it's important not to forget this step. Actually, it's important not to skip any of the steps we've covered today, or your gateway integration will not work correctly. So with that all in place, we don't need the Signup Post URL. This is for older integration types. So if you've been using authorized.net in the past and you need to upgrade to their newer webhook, we've got another video that covers that. So please go watch that. But if you're setting this up new, do not use this Signup Post URL or the MD5 hash value. These are not used in this newer webhook integration. So these again are for older integrations. You do not need these values here. And if you were using authorized.net, go ahead and watch our video on how to migrate from the Signup Post URL and MD5 hash value to the newer webhook URL instead. So that's it. We're going to go ahead and click Update Options. And now if we go to our memberships, and let's go ahead and look at this $100 a month gold membership, and I'm going to open that in an incognito window here so I can see it as a guest would. And if I scroll down to the bottom here, we now have the option to pay by check or to pay by credit card. And if I choose pay by credit card, it's going to process that through authorized.net. So let me go ahead and close out of this, and maybe we can go ahead and just make sure that everything is connected and working. So we'll go ahead and open this up in a new tab. I'm just going to purchase it as an administrator so that I don't have to go through and create a new testing account. But none of these fields are marked as required here, so I'm going to go ahead and just enter in a birthday, and we'll choose pay by credit card. Go ahead and sign up. Okay, and it's going to ask me for my name. We'll say Paul C, credit card number. Where I'm using a sandbox account, I can use this testing credit card number. Expiration needs to just be, let's see, let's go in 2022. The expiration date just needs to be sometime in the future if you're using sandbox mode. CVC is 123, and we can just put in a fake zip code. So let me go ahead and submit this payment now. Okay, we were successful. We got taken to the thank you page. My thank you page is blank, which is why you don't see anything here. But the payment was successful. And if we go to our account page, which I have not set up in my menu yet, go to our account page and click on, give it just a second here to load. Okay, so our account page loaded, so we're going to come here and click on the subscriptions tab, and we should see that we have a subscription. It is enabled. Now because this is recurring, it will say enabled. If it was one time, it would just say none here. I've got $100 a month, and my subscription ID here is a valid authorized.net subscription ID. If your ID here says mp-sub- and then some random numbers, then there may be an issue with the way you've set up the gateway. So double check this video again, and then contact our support if you're having troubles getting the subscription numbers to match up with authorized.net subscription numbers. And it's important that these numbers do match for recurring payments, because future payments will not be associated correctly if the ID of this subscription does not match the ID that's in authorized.net. So if we go to authorized.net, we're going to go to home. We can click on recurring billing, and we've got 35 subscriptions on my testing account here, and this top one should be the one we just signed up for. So we got 558-9586, 558-9586. So everything matches there. We're looking good. It does not have any completed payments yet. That's because authorized.net ARB does not process payments until around 2 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I believe. So you will not see a payment until usually the middle of the night. To get around that, MemberPress does give the user 24 hours of access. We do validate their credit card and make sure everything's good before we set up the subscription. Otherwise, they would have gotten an error when signing up. So they do get a 24-hour period, of access on the website, just to make sure that they can get access to the content they've paid for right away, even though their payment will not complete until, like I said, usually around midnight. So that's pretty much it as far as the authorized.net integration goes. For some of those other settings in the options, check our documentation for a little bit more description on those. But yeah, I would definitely recommend either getting a sandbox account to do your testing in, or just testing with a real credit card on your live account. Do both a one-time sign up and a recurring sign up like we did here, and make sure that your subscription numbers match and that everything looks good. And the next morning you'll definitely want to come through and make sure that that payment did come through and show up correctly, just to ensure that your payment gateway is configured, and you're not going to run into any issues with users losing access after 24 hours because the webhook didn't get set up, or one of the signature keys or transaction keys didn't get entered in correctly, or whatever it might be. It's definitely worth testing this to make sure that everything's going to go smoothly once you launch your membership site. So and again, if you have any other questions, please reach out to our support, and otherwise I hope you found this video helpful.